Alright, so I was scrolling on Instagram Reels and I came across this one reel, which you guys saw at the beginning of the video, that has a very interesting argument, basically. And it's not the first time I've come across this. I think Ricky Gervais stated something similar on a late night talk show, if I'm remembering that correctly. But essentially, I think this kind of argument doesn't work because if you take it to its logical conclusion, it's actually not a very good argument. And here's why. If you're looking at religious works, like the Bible, for example, the Bible is not a scientific textbook. It's not a math textbook. It's not an English manual with grammar rules. It's not any of those things. So you have to recognize the genres that it is, which is historical narrative, ancient Near Eastern law, apocalyptic literature, all these different genres of writing. And historical narrative in particular, when we're looking at the Gospels and Jesus's life, they portray him as an actual historical figure that lived and did the things that the eyewitnesses wrote down about. And so if you're looking at it historically, then it makes sense that, if you got rid of it, no one would be able to recreate it. Because if we use like George Washington, for example, if we got rid of all the textbooks, all the biographies about George Washington so that there's nothing left about George Washington, then no one would be able to recreate books about George Washington because no one would know he existed, because we can't observe him. He's not repeatable. There's not a scientific method for history, like there is in the example where you can recreate scientific textbooks if you got rid of them all, if you have the scientific method, because it's repeatable and it's observable still. But when it comes to history, it's not any of those things, right? It just happens the one time. So we wouldn't be able to observe Jesus or repeat Jesus either and recreate the Gospels. So that's why I don't think the argument works that well, because you'd have to apply it to anything in history. You'd have to, if you got rid of anything in history, it couldn't be written down, and I guess that somehow disqualifies it for some reason. I don't know. I don't really know what the argument's getting at. And I mean, if it's against religion, even if we look at science, which is repeatable, science still points to God, right? And you can get into any of the different, the cosmological argument, any of those arguments, and even in science, it still points to God. So then the question is, if we're personal, if we're intelligent beings, right, we wouldn't have been created from chaotic, unintelligible, non-personal matter, right? Because chaos doesn't produce order, and unintelligible matter doesn't produce intelligible matter, right? So if we're personal, then whatever made us is personal. And so then that thing that made us would inevitably want to have relations with us, with its creation. So I mean, the best way to do that 2,000 years ago would be to write it down, because cameras didn't exist and all that, and most people were illiterate back then, so you're not going to have a fancy scientific textbook that's all formulas or mathematical all formulas, or super advanced theological systematic book. It's going to be stories, because anyone can enjoy and learn from stories. So that's the importance of why I don't think we can just discount it because it's not a scientific textbook, right? The question is, did it really happen? And if it did, how should that impact our lives? So I just want to make a quick short on this and just say some of my thoughts, and maybe people will enjoy it, maybe not, I don't know. But if anyone's watching this and you see any more reels that you want me to respond to, just send it to my Instagram. I'll have a link in the description. And yeah, see ya.